You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 618, where we finally have gotten the new Mando Grogu trailer. It's a teaser trailer, but tonight we're going to break this down and give our thoughts and opinions on it. And excited to talk about this because I think this is, in some ways, I'm excited. In some ways, I'm not excited. But my overall excitement is high because this is a Star Wars movie, which we'll talk about here in just a second. And to help me do all of that, of course, is none other than Jonesy. Jonesy, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. You know, it's hard to believe it has been 13 months since this first debuted at D23 Expo. Like August of last year is when the very first footage got released. And of course, then it showed up at Celebration a few months later, of course, or many months later. But it's hard to believe it's been over a year since information started coming out, and we're finally kind of getting the, I like you called it a teaser trailer because it feels more like a teaser than an official trailer like it's labeled. But
right.
Yeah, this will be interesting to kind of walk through. And actually what I was wanting to do is we had an unfiltered episode recently where we had 5 categories, if you remember, of like your hype meter. So it might be interesting to revisit what we talked about then and maybe how that may have changed or maybe stayed the same after you've seen the trailer.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. I think as we talk about this teaser, it'll be probably apparent where I sit with it. And because I'll explain the reasons why here in a little bit. So I'm not trying to be sneaky or anything like that. But before we get into all that, how about some shout outs and thank yous to some really important people?
Yeah, folks that are never sneaky, Albert, our amazing Patreon members, especially now part of the tribe members, Alex, Danny, Dante, Daz, I've got a Brad feeling, Jackson, Jacob, Josh, Mike, Risk, Sharkman, Dan, and Uncle Leon. And then our Delusions of Grandeur members, our top tier. Now, this is Rod Racing, CJ, Steve, and Rob. If you're curious about Patreon, cantinacast.com/Patreon. We'd love to have you. There's a tier for everyone. If you're listening to this, thanks for the download or thanks for tuning in tonight. You could be like one of these amazing folks in our live stream, cantinacast.com/livestream. So far, we've got Music Train Alex and my Star Wars guys. We see some other folks there in the background. We hope you'll come out and say hello. We would love to get your thoughts up on screen as we go through the trailer and tell us how you're feeling about the trailer.
Yeah. And we were originally going to do the Pieces of the Past, which was the part 2 to rebuild the galaxy. And this came out, which, I think you probably already heard by now. This was supposed to come out last week. Disney did some really dumb stuff and we're trying to figure out how to get this out. And so it kind of like circumvented that. So we will come back to doing our breakdown of Pieces of the Past. That's the name of it, right?
Yeah. Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the Past.
I was thinking, did I just make that up? Or no, that is the actual name, Pieces of the Past. Right. So that's a Lego one. So we had a good time breaking down the first one last week, and we'll come back and do that one. But tonight, it is all about Mando and Grogu. Okay, so give me your opening thoughts on the trailer. What did you think? I don't know. I mean, you mentioned it's been like a number of months since we saw the D23 footage, which was, I think, the very first footage that we've ever seen.
Right.
But what did you think when you saw this?
First impression was a little underwhelmed. I was really hoping, let me frame that up a little bit. So with season 3, regardless of how you feel about season 3, the show wrapped up, right? We had a natural conclusion. Everything found a nice, peaceful ending. We had closure, right? And so when I get to a movie trailer or even a trailer for a new season, doesn't matter what it is, I kind of expect it to at least have a little tongue in cheek, like, hey, we're back, or we're doing this again, or, something a little fun like that. The first trailers are usually just meant to instill excitement, right? And this one does a lot of that in many ways. But I think the one thing they could have capitalized on that maybe I was hoping for is that it was setting up something new, or we start to tease what the looming threat is. And we do have a synopsis we can share about what this is, which I don't think really helps it at all because it kind of sounds like Mandalorian season 1 through 3. But, I think from that respect, it while there was some eye candy and some of the action and stuff like that, it was pretty cool. I think it actually looks pretty good. I think the quality of it looks pretty good. We didn't really there was no story, there was no dialogue for the most part. And like the first part, I really just don't understand what they were trying to set up because it didn't do anything for me. But so it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I mean, I wanted to kind of get excited about it, but also I had a really hard time finding the excitement to kind of be had. And again, some of it's because you and I have been spoiled because we saw not all of this was in, like, some of this is new, and only a few of these scenes. I was actually surprised how few of the scenes were from the D23 and Celebration, teasers there. But we've seen some of that stuff before, so it's not new or exciting for us. And anybody who's seen the leaks, probably won't be surprised by some of that either. So, and then I got to be honest with you, Albert, like the cuteness of Grogu is kind of wearing off a little bit. It's not that it's worn off. It's just that we've just kind of done this over and over, right? And we keep leaning into it, and we get it. He's cute, but I'm hoping the movie itself will, and I think there's a lot of promise for this to happen, by the way, that we'll finally start to see him kind of, take his place and step up into that role. We saw a little bit of it in season 3. There's some signs of it in this trailer, but we'll have to kind of see where it goes. But overall, kind of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. What about you?
Yeah, no, and I think you hit the nail on the head, honestly, because it is a little underwhelming, but that's only because you and I have, and other fans, people that, again, that are trolling around there on the dark interwebs and seeing stuff that they shouldn't have seen already, either the D23 footage or anything that was shown at Celebration London, right? All the stuff that was shown behind closed doors, you and I have been privileged to see. And because we've seen it, when this trailer came out, there was like, oh yeah, I know what's going on here. We've already dissected this and made up all kinds of theories in our heads, that some of it didn't seem new and fresh. That said, for the general audiences, this is the first time they're seeing anything really since season 3 of Mando, right? So I think from that perspective and through that lens, it probably is very exciting. It probably does entice a lot of people. It probably is like, hey, remember us, we're back kind of thing, especially the way the trailer was kind of spliced together and set up. It was very much for the, hey, remember us from season 3, we're back, and we've got a new movie coming out. We're not giving you a whole lot of details because it truly feels very much like a teaser and not a trailer. It's just enough to get you kind of excited about it, right? Get everybody talking about Mando and Grogu. I don't know why I keep saying Mando and Grogu. So yes, I think that's the perspective of it. It did feel like this trailer too was aimed at the younger audiences because it was very, very heavy on the cute moments for Grogu. I had a chance to show this to my kids, and all they focused on was the Grogu stuff. So if that was their mission, they've checked the box, mission accomplished, put up the banners. They did what they set out to do. I think it's still going to be a deeper story. I think there's going to be some more stuff in there for us, of course. But I mean, if you really want to go back to the well, and if the well is good, maybe this is a pulse check to see how our fans are, reacting to Grogu at this point. Now that it's been 3 years, some of these kids have grown up. They're now, those who were 8 are now 11, and those who were 11 are now 14. It may not be as cool to the teenagers that grew up with this thing. So maybe this was kind of a toe in the water to see kind of what response we would get. Does he still have the, I don't know, the pizzazz and the flair and the cuddleness and cuteness that we all wanted and loved back when the regular seasons were going on? So that's part of it. I think overall, though, my excitement is there because at the end of the day, this is a Star Wars movie, and we're getting a movie back in the theaters after 7 years by the time this comes out. Right. And so, that's something to be celebrated, I think. It's interesting that there was no dialogue in this outside of the very end where, Rado was like, yes. And then, we've got, good shot baby and some of the other stuff in there. But very interesting they chose not to do any dialogue when we had lots of dialogue in D23 and Celebration trailers as well. So,
and what's really odd, I know we're going to walk through it, but like that first part of the trailer, like clearly you could tell that like there are some scenes like when he's sitting at the table, with Sigourney Weaver's character, who we of course still don't know the name of. Mm-hmm. It's clear he's like shaking his head, like they're having conversation and there's nothing happening except music. Yep. It was just very awkward. Like the first part was a little awkward, and then it kind of gets rolling, right? You get the big music going and the theme and all of that stuff. But it was just kind of a curious kickoff to the trailer. But some good things in there that we'll talk about tonight. And it was cool to see Zeb in action too. But we'll talk about all the things here as we step. And then that poster is an absolute banger. I mean, you talk about like if they're leaning in we've got the font here on
pull it up. Go ahead and pull it up. Let's do that before we get into the trailer.
Yeah, like total like old school Western style movies, Gone with the Wind style poster as well. A real throwback to even what they did with some of the posters back in 77 and 80, and this is just a fantastic, it's just fun. I think and that's in. I mean, Din Djarin, or Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, and Grogu as himself is a little eye roller there. But in general, though, this poster is absolutely fantastic. They really did a number on this one in the most positive of ways.
Yeah, no, it's like so pulpy. It's a total throwback. I mean, even they changed the logo, right? The font for the Mando and Grogu for finally, because I was like, man, I really didn't like the name. Number one, I don't think I still do. It's going to be a while before I come around to it. But at least the fonts, got some flair to it, or it's got some I don't know, character more than just the, I guess same old font that we got from seasons 1 through 3 of The Mandalorian.
That's the funny part. I'm pretty sure it is the same font. It's just that they italicized it and they kind of swerved it a little bit. Like the pulpy is such a perfect word. Great choice.
They gave it some color too.
Yeah, and then they gave a different font around it, right? That gives you like that serial kind of feel. We did this back. Remember, we did the Zillow Beast show. We did a towel card that did something similar to this, and it was so much fun to do. I just imagine they had a ton of fun making this.
Yep, and they also there's the interesting thing about, or one of the more interesting things about the poster is there are some pictures on this poster that don't appear in the trailer, but did appear in the other footage from some of the other stuff that we've seen already, particularly Mando riding that, I don't know, little, was it AT? It's not an ATST. What's the
AT-RT?
RT, yeah. He's riding that. You can see that there. It looks to be on the far right-hand side. Does that look like a, what do you call it, beast? Oh, sorry. The Mando beast.
Oh, a mythosaur?
Mythosaur.
Oh, I'd have to really zoom in because it's really small on my screen.
Oh,
Let me pull up the bigger version.
It's got teeth, and then it looks like it's got horns coming out the side where maybe that would be. Maybe not. It looks more like a snake once you zoom in. Yeah,
it looks a little bit more akin to what Grogu is fighting in the sewers. They're in the trailer, but much bigger.
Yeah, much larger. Maybe that's a baby that he sees.
Doesn't look like a mythosaur, though.
Okay.
And then we get what looks like the twins on the lower left. The Hutt twins. So
yep. That's
we didn't see them in the teaser either.
Yep. We got the Zellans, Babu Freaks in there as well. We got Sir Gordon Weaver. I like that Grogu as himself. That's a throwback to R2-D2 as himself, as he was always listed in posters and that sort of thing. So
right.
Mandu plus Dewback equals Mandu. There you go. Thank you. So yeah, great poster. Love it. This would be one that I definitely would. I don't normally buy posters, but I kind of want this one just to hang it. And I mean, it looks so good.
Yeah, it's honestly. So fun.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back to talking about the trailer. Let me pull up the trailer. While I'm pulling this up, what are your thoughts, I guess, on, I saw some criticism about, hey, this just looks like season 4 of Mandalorian. It doesn't look movie quality. It looks more like Disney Plus television. Do you think it's too early to kind of make that call? Can you see where they're coming from? I guess what's your take on the production quality? Does it feel movie-like at this point?
I think a little bit is a little bit too early to see because they're seeing just what we want to see. Right. I thought the quality was fine, though. I actually thought the quality was generally pretty good. Now, granted, the quality of the TV show at times was very good and excellent.
Yeah.
It had its moments where things weren't falling. And I would expect those lows that we had in the show to, they shouldn't be there with the movie and a movie budget, right?
Yeah.
I think that's that's when you can really judge it, is whether you see that. Now, I will say this, though, the style of what they're shooting here for the movie, it does feel very like the TV show. So I think and you could view this kind of one of two ways. One, you could view it as a good thing because it's consistency across what you see. So while I think the applying season 4 tag to this is probably not appropriate at this point, I can see why people would say that there's a consistency to the appearance of it, the lighting, some of the things they're doing with the costumes, some of the set pieces, maybe some of the director. I mean, how they're framing the shots. I mean, a lot of that does look very similar, but I think that's not a bad thing. But it does raise concerns about, is it going to feel big enough, right? Does it feel grand enough to be on the big screen, which is actually one of my chief concerns of it, is it going to be enough of a story and enough of a visual element to really feel like it was justified to be on the big screen, right? And it when it maybe could have or should have been back on Disney Plus. Like, is it going to fit that expectation when we move into a theater, especially when they do forged in IMAX at the end, which again, kind of a cool way to say it, but you're setting expectations and you're starting to increase those expectations about what you expect from the cinema. And is a TV show meant for movies? And we talked a little bit about this on Unfiltered a few weeks ago, that's tough to do. Like a lot of TV shows don't make the transition to the big screen as well as they kind of feel like they could have, or maybe should have. And so this is going to be really telling to see how well this works, but a lot banking on this movie too. So I don't think they're going to skimp intentionally, of course, either.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, honestly. They set such a high bar during the television show that, the movie is going to look very similar. So, the devil's in the details. We'll see when it comes out. I'm sure this is not the final product. They're probably holding back on a lot of things. The action feels bigger in some ways in this, and you kind of expect that, but that's not to say we didn't have some really good action sequences in the television series, but it just feels like we may be getting a lot of them and maybe even bigger and badder than we've had before too. So that bodes well for, having the movie experience versus just a television show on the big screen, right? I think that's what we're looking for. So,
yep.
All right, let's get into this. Enough jibba-jabbing about this. So we open up here on this beach kind of planet. Looks like that's a Delphi base right there. You can kind of see it on the top there. And Mando's coming in on the Razor Crest. So
a Razor Crest.
Razor Crest, right. So let's talk about that, because when we saw the D23 trailer, that first scene that we saw Zeb is actually flying it. And I think at the time, I don't know if it was me, you, us, whatever, there was a theory. We had a theory about, well, maybe this is Zeb's. Like maybe he's got one. And at the very end, my fan theory was they were going to swap. Zeb trades him straight up. Here's my Razor Crest, that ship, for your Naboo starfighter, and it's just an even one for one type swap. Having seen this, it does feel like this probably is his own. And so some time has passed. So I think it's okay to say, and appropriate to say that, he probably got a whole bunch of money from the rebels for, all the work that he did. And he went back and found another one on eBay and, souped it up and rebuilt it and did all that stuff. And there was probably a montage maybe that we'll get that shows him and Grogu, working on it and getting it back together. But I think this might be actually his, because when you look at the yellow paint too, which when we saw the D23, we were noticing that it had some stripes on it. We couldn't tell the color because it was a bad quality of the video. Right. But now that I see this and you think about the stripes that he had on the Naboo starfighter, it seems like this is probably his own. Are you good with that? Do you think we need an explanation as to why he is back into one of these ships?
I think yes to both of those. Yeah, I'm good with it. And then B, I mean, when you're a bounty hunter, or when you're doing things bounty hunting like, and again, we don't know exactly what he's doing for the Rebel Alliance, and maybe we should read the synopsis at some point here. But I think it's just, you need a freighter, right? And we saw what he was doing before with the carbonite and things like that, and I've seen other folks say, well, you can't have a baby in the backseat of the starfighter. It just isn't practical. I think it just wasn't practical because that's not, you need a freighter to do the things that he's doing, right?
Yeah, I think the baby was fine, but it's about the work that he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. It was more, is it fit for purpose of what you need? You don't buy a sports car, whenever you have a soccer team you need to haul around, or if you've got equipment you need to hang around or haul lumber.
You got a dead body you got to go bury on the weekend,
Yeah, well, that's a little far, but I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, or one to carbonite at the very least. Let's just make it Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Carbonite, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, so, but I think they do need to explain it. Like, why does he have this? What happened to the starfighter? It doesn't have to be anything big or elaborate, but I think, it's different than where we left him, and there I think should be some level of explanation with that, even if it's not super detailed.
I think they will. I think they'll have to explain it. I mean, people saw it blow up, and it was such a shocking moment. It was a great moment. It was a Razor Crest moment. I would expect them to at least give us some context and background as to why he's suddenly in a new one. And it could be, it's probably not Zeb's at this point, and that's fine. And it doesn't have to be any more than, hey, I missed the ship, and he can get into the practical reasons, like you mentioned. Like if the Rebels at the very end of season 3, he did start, I think it was Carson Teva told him, hey, you're working for us now. And he was like, sure, that's fine. He's got to have something to go to work in. And so this is his work van, right? He may still have the Naboo starfighter, and maybe we'll get to see that. Maybe Zeb flies that at some point. But
yeah, the thing with movies is they like to destroy the ship. So do you think they'll do it a second time?
No, I don't think they'll do it a second time.
Do you think the Razor Crest moment will be that they annihilate the second Razor Crest?
I think Lego and anybody who had this action, like this ship, would be really pissed if that were the case. Yeah. But all right, let's.
So you don't feel like it's shorting the impact of when they destroyed the Razor Crest, though, right?
Bringing it back,
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, how many times have you had a really great car and you wrecked it?
Yeah.
Or something
And you
bad
want to
happened
go,
to it?
and you want to go get something.
You go get another
similar,
one. Like
right?
I love that car, man. It's been a while. I want to go get another version of it. It just happens. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not a flashback.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
what
I've
I
seen
would say.
that. Yeah, I've seen, and we had a little bit of discussion of this in Discord in the last couple of days too. Is it possible for a flashback to happen? It seems unlikely in this case because I think everything seems to be more, current day, and I don't think there's
Like
really any
flashback as
reason.
to how he got the Razor Crest, or if this was a flashback itself that we
It,
just saw.
I think we kind of debated a little of both, but
Okay.
yeah, I think in general it was just. And again, you could go back to, you could have a moment in time and they flash forward. So, you kind of end with Carson Teva and, I need work, and they might be able to arrange something. And then they come to me, he's like, well, I'm going to need a different ship. And then you fast forward to something like this. And is that explanation enough? Maybe, but at
Maybe.
least it set the stage of I had to have something different. So I went and got this, and then they can just kind of trickle things in and sprinkle it in here and there.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's your 9 minutes on talking about just this one scene. So you're welcome.
Mike
that.
Rondo said that, asked if we were going to go 3 hours tonight or not. So
We can't. Like, there's no way. Like, we don't even have that much footage here. This thing is over and done.
challenge accepted.
A minute and
Right.
25 seconds or whatever the heck it was.
Right.
Okay, so we got Grogu looking. There's our first cute moment. I mean, come on. He looks super cute trying to hold that big old, spyglass up to look.
Yeah. But what's weird about the sequence is like he holds it up, and of course it's a monocular, right? And then they show a binocular view of something different.
It's not the same scene.
Yeah, and there's a couple of scenes in here we've got stitched together like this that are kind of clearly not the same, but it's interesting.
We got to see Amando use this in season 2 or whatever it was. Maybe it's even season 1.
I think it's season 1.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different. It was on his scope of his gun. It was a little bit smoother, but yeah, same type of thing. And we got to see what it looks like. It was definitely just one view.
Yeah. So I think this is 2 spliced images together. So I don't know that they're on Adelphi here. Like this feels like it's probably another base somewhere, or maybe he's looking at the Rebel base for whatever odd reason.
Yeah.
But I wonder. This doesn't look like. It doesn't really even look like necessarily a beach environment, because look at all the grass that's down there. It's very lush.
Yeah,
At first I was thinking, well, maybe this is Scarif. Maybe he's going back to Scarif, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
Heavily fortified, seemingly well, built compound.
Yeah.
Like an actual facility, like industrial facility. So, and again, well guarded by stormtroopers, and it seems at odds.
A big
from where
outpost
they're
is what it looks like.
Yeah, big outpost. Yeah.
So okay, well, nice try there, Disney. But we're on to you with that. Yeah, there's so much blackness in this trailer too, darkness.
Yeah.
We got Babu Frick here holding a lightsaber.
Well, and then Zelen. You don't know who.
I know,
it is
just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure didn't they say at D23, or maybe it was London, that Babu Frick was going to be in the movie?
Oh, you mean Japan?
Or maybe Japan. Sorry. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was Japan.
I don't remember if it was Babu Frick.
Okay.
But when
I'm
you
almost
hear the
positive.
voices, though, it's very much the voice of the Zelen we had that built the IG unit for Grogu, not
True.
Babu Frick's voice and inflection that you hear in Rise of Skywalker. So I think it's probably more that character than Babu Frick specifically.
I think it's Lacey from Resistance Broadcast who's got this in my head that it's Babu Frick. Maybe she's probably trying to will it into existence, honestly.
Well, a lot of people use it for shorthand because they can't remember that they're in Zelens.
Yeah.
Which is, totally fair enough. We do this all the time. So
yeah. And then we get Grogu following along. Later on, there are more than one in this sewer. It only looks like 2 here. Later on, there's a scene where you get to see another one that's kind of in the background. So not sure what's going on here. They look to be, I don't know, making their way through the sewers, trying to sneak up. It's probably, Mando's going through the front door. These guys are sneaking in the back door. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Again, this was kind of odd. It was just for the beginning of a trailer. What's it trying to set up for us,
No, nothing other than this is nothing more than just to say, look, it's Babu Frick, or it's Grogu all over again.
Grogu, yeah.
Yep. He looks cute. We get Sigourney Weaver's character here. We broke this down for Patreon members, by the way. If you're a Patreon member, we did break down the D23 footage.
August of last year. Yep.
Oh, thank you. Yep. So go back and watch it. We did a whole thing on this character and speculated and all that. I think it all holds true because we really don't know any more than that. She's clearly looking at Mando. You can see him there with his little wrist rocket thing. I think later on, you can see it here briefly, but she's got the general insignia on there. So she is a general of some sort. We don't have her name just yet. But we know also from the D23 trailer that she is the one that's giving Mando his new orders and assignments. Like that's his contact, and she's dispatching him on behalf of the rebellion to go do whatever he needs to do and to help them out.
Yeah, and I think they've been calling this a Delphi station or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Which was mentioned in season 3 of Mando.
Yeah,
and this was from that same scene, or from the D23 footage as well.
Right. Yeah, Grogu pulling the tray of snacks in typical Grogu fashion, and she moms him.
Yeah, like no, buddy. Stop.
I know, and he gives him the eye. Yeah.
I don't remember him. He makes a little growl here. I don't remember that growl in the D23. It sounds like they might have added that in a little bit, or at least maybe pumped up the volume more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they may have jacked the volume up a little bit.
But he's like, yeah. So that's already 3 cute moments in the span of 10 seconds there for Grogu.
Yeah. Now this is where things get a little bit more interesting, though. About where is this? Like, what planet is this? We see the Den spice in Orabesh, kind of in the reflection of the water here. So some sort of city, sort of city planet. There's a couple. There's Easter eggs kind of throughout the trailer. By the way, we'll point out a few of them. Like there's one here for now, an advertisement for the Halcyon, cruiser and stuff. But
oh, really?
Yeah, that's the one on the right there.
Oh, up here.
Yeah, it's top. Like red text and then some text below it on the right side. The red and white, not the red stuff on the far left, but
red and white. Okay.
Yeah, so the text that's kind of on the right hand side there. The spice one's in the middle. I'm pointing at the screen like anybody can see what I'm doing, but
yeah.
But yeah. So I'm guessing this is kind of we see a lot of huts, and we see the hut insignia later on. So could this be one of the hut worlds like Nar Shaddaa or something like that? That might be kind of cool. Or could it be just another, type of underground type of planet, or not Canto Bight type of planet, but these gambling type of planets.
Mm-hmm. And we had there was one in season 2, I think, where he went into that was like the Gamorrean guards and the arena type thing. I forget the name of that planet, if they even said it, honestly. I don't remember if they did, but he could be revisiting that one as well. But yeah, the takeaway here is it does feel like this is tied to Rudda or the huts in some way, as we'll see here in just a little bit. But that's certainly Mando walking through these puddled streets. And then we cut to this scene. So we talked about this one too. There was some of this footage, and I forget now which trailer it was. Again, go back and watch the Patreon stuff. But I had mentioned that this very much felt like, and I'm going to make a reference here. Not everybody's going to get it. Probably 4 people will get this reference. But this very much feels like a movie called Hard Boiled by John Woo. It's one of his earlier movies. And even so, like, I didn't really notice this when we first broke it down. But now that it's in like better resolution, we can see it. You've got all these bird cages. And that's exactly the same scene. If you've seen Hard Boiled, the very beginning of the opening, there's like, this kind of a cafe place where people bring all these different birds, and then all hell breaks loose, and there's like feathers flying everywhere and debris flying everywhere. And it just gives you that John Woo feeling, but you can see it here. You can see all the debris kind of falling down. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is kind of an ode to the John Woo style of movies where you've got just debris flowing everywhere. Even these pillars look exactly the same. So sorry, I'll get off that little rant, but what's interesting though is, you see Mando kicking this guy here.
Is another splice.
Yeah. It's another splice, because I'm pretty sure that bar,
what's behind Mando right before he kicks him. Yeah.
Yeah, like it looks like it's that one right there behind him. So I don't think that's the same dude.
Nicely stitched together though. Yeah.
If it is, he's getting his butt kicked here, and then afterwards he gets it once more over here. I don't know.
Well, and he's flying straight back here, and then the guy is flying over the bar kind of at an angle in the next shot.
I'm sure those are like real drinks too. I'm sure somebody's already pointed those out. Like, oh yeah, that's a bottle of whatever.
I don't know. Don't drink the green stuff. That'll mess you up.
That's what I've heard. Oh, I didn't even realize that's what's that race with the guys with the horns out their side their heads?
Oh, like Ceci 10s?
Yes. Yeah. The Jedi.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Gosh. Yeah.
This is cool though. So we see it here, and we saw it in the D23 trailer. He doesn't have his little backpack anymore. He just jumps and grasps onto the armor. Like that's how he walks around with Mando now.
Yeah, I think it's a good evolution there.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious if this is actually rewound in some way, but maybe not.
Like him jumping off.
Yeah.
Let's see if we play it this way. I don't know. No,
Yeah,
because his head jolts forward
Yeah,
when he
his head
lands.
movement. Yeah, you're probably right.
All right. We got to the bottom of that one. I
Here's
want
kind
this
of-
to be a man-to-man.
It totally is. I mean, that's a deep cut. I mean, that's a monomon, and that's for those who maybe not familiar with it. This is I don't even know how to describe this beast, but it was in the background in Return of the Jedi, right?
It was an action figure. Like it was one of the cooler action figures when the Return of the Jedi series set came out.
Yeah, and actually, this came out this was in issue 2 of Star Wars when they rebooted on Marvel, and you can actually see this character, pretty clearly as well if you go pick up the issue 2 of Star Wars back in 2020. So yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, though.
Interesting.
Like I said, a
that we've got
couple of nice little Easter eggs and there's some kind of deep cuts.
Yeah, I mean, this is all like Filoni and Favreau again with playing with their Return of the Jedi action figures circa '83.
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand him though. He's like in the water here, and he's got like some kind of a weapon of sorts. I'm not sure how he plays into all of this.
Well, and I'm pretty sure we see. Well, maybe no. I think we see a different creature that we have a different creature that Mando is fighting a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to tell. Maybe this is what's going on in the tunnels and the sewers, or is this more with the arena? There's a lot of swamp type stuff here. So
yeah, and we've got
give it off some
Grogu
Solo
later
vibes.
too. Oh yeah, true. Solo. Yep. We've got Grogu a little bit later swimming in the water,
Right.
or he's drowning. Like it looks like the same kind of murky, dark water as well.
Yeah, maybe.
So
So.
it could be those could be related scenes. Nice grill. I don't remember him having those teeth, but of course the action figure. I only had the action figure, and I don't remember his mouth didn't open, of course, but
Right.
they look like almost metallic teeth.
Yeah.
Anyways, Grogu punching up some stuff. I like that he's got stuff to do now, right?
I was about to say, this is right up your alley where him Grogu and Mando both have their tasks, to fire up the ship and get it ready. And he knows what he's doing. Again, more of his maturation into like a true partnership as well, which is kind of nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Pre-takeoff, pre-launch stuff. So he's punching some buttons. And Mando kind of does his thing and we jet off. These probably are cut together. I don't think that's exactly what happens here, but maybe. I don't know.
Well,
Really
tough.
cool to see on the Razor Crest, though.
Yeah, he might be going into the nosedive. We saw him avoiding some ships, which I can't really make out. Like can't tell if they're TIE fighters or this right here. He's doing the
It's too
nosedive.
fast.
They're really fast, but it's weird. Like the first inclination is like TIE interceptor, but it has to be something different than that because you could tell there is like no between the wings and the body. Like you kind of get the idea of like a TIE interceptor like ship, but there's not anything in between that you can really see that's holding them together from the cockpit.
Yeah, it's almost too thin.
Yeah. So it might be an evolution, another Imperial ship that's just evolved into something else, which again would be cool to have new variations, but these almost seem, these are almost like a CIS inspired, like droid ships that were all, what are they called? The droid not the vultures, but whatever the droid ships were called back in the Clone Wars.
Aren't they the vultures? Ones that would.
Well, those were vulture droids, the ones that would, pop out. Or those were buzz droids. Yeah, vulture droids, you're right. I'm thinking buzz droids.
Yeah, vulture droids.
Yeah, they kind of, the profile reminds me a little bit of that, but, clearly probably not.
Here's the scene I was talking about where Grogu seems to have fallen in the water. Like, I don't think he meant to jump in there.
Yeah, and you're right. It's kind of dark and murky. So it looks, again, underground in some way, which might be consistent with some of those other scenes.
Look at the puppeteer work on this.
Yeah, I'm curious if some of this stuff is going to be interesting. What's puppets and what's going to be CGI with Grogu in this movie.
And every time we talk about this too, we're like, "Oh, that's CGI, that's CGI," and then weeks later we get the behind the scenes stuff, and it's like all puppets. I'm like, what? Yeah. I mean,
it's tough. It's tough to tell. They're getting good.
They do a good job. All right, so he's oh man, I don't even know who is this guy?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Garazeb.
Garazeb is back.
Yeah,
look at that.
And taking names, man, on some stormtroopers.
Oh man, I was so excited to see this because I was really we talked about this, right? From a cost perspective, it makes sense to have him in a movie rather than a TV show, just because it's not cost prohibitive to put him in TV because of the amount of work and time it goes into developing him. But for the movie, they need to just give him all the screen time. I mean, he's long overdue, especially since we had everybody else already back for the Ahsoka series. this feels like it's right for him to kind of have his own spotlight. So if they do ever get the group together, which I predict they probably will at some point,
Right.
it's, you know, it's well established who the hell he is now. He's the guy from the Mando Grogu movie.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have quite a bit of screen time in the show. But what's with this hallway though? This hallway is very, I don't know.
It looks like Williamson County here in Texas.
Yeah, it's very much our world hallway here with the archways and stuff. It's just very. It's what we would expect to see when we go into any kind of federal or not federal building, but courthouse or something.
Yeah, courthouse here in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting take. And this is probably, you know, something. It's probably the one shot from a part of the movie that they've shown nothing else to, so it's hard to stitch this together to anything else. But it is good to see him using his bow rifle again, which is what he's holding there. It's kind of like a bow staff, and it shoots bolts as well.
Right. It's also a mystical object. But yeah, it's good to see.
That's right. It's a mystical object.
That's right. It's good to see Zeb with some agility and kind of getting some action in. So it's going to be exciting to see how they use him in the movie. I'm interested to see how he plays into the story.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, my cat's super excited. Zeb, the cat, he's very excited about that one. Okay. We've got another cute scene with Grogu flying around, or I guess riding around with the Azellans. His ears are flopping in the air, wind. That was always a big thing. Remember in season 1 there at the very end, or season 1.
Right.
It was cute. So we got to see him there. I don't know. What is this, Navarro?
I don't
Some
know.
unknown planet?
Yeah,
and why is he alone? That's the thing. Like, we see him alone with these guys. Do you think Mando let him go alone? Or do you think it's just like he's going after Mando, or they're in search of Mando or something at some point?
I honestly don't know. It seems like they would have separate missions at some point, but you could also see where they get separated. I mean, at this point, it's difficult to tell. But I like the idea of them having separate missions more than getting separated, because I like that trust. And like one of our CPU in the chat says Grogu's doing a lot more in this so far. And I like that theme of giving him that autonomy and then that trust, you know, that goes with, you know, being a youngling in the Mandalorian culture.
And I think it probably bodes well too, because I mean, you don't have to worry about, okay, so if Mando is taking on 2 really big droids or an army of sorts, then what is Grogu doing? How do you have to show him? You got to make sure you have to account for him, account for his safety, maybe not at this point. But if they are on 2 separate missions, and you get to have Mando just being a pure Mandalorian and not really worrying about the baby, and the baby can be out doing other stuff that's super important to the mission overall or to the overall narrative, without having to, you know, this is the lighter side, he's the darker side in terms of like storytelling as well, you know?
Right. Yep.
So maybe they're going there, but nonetheless, it's them flying around in this little cart. I'm almost positive that this is
after the AT-AT destruction.
Yes. Yeah. When he grabs Grogu and he flies out of the hatch. We'll talk about that here when we show it in just a second. But it looks like he's taking off and jumping into this U-wing to get out of here. And you can't really tell, but it does have, well, I guess you can tell right there. It's got the Rebel Alliance logo on there.
Right.
The Rebel logo.
Yep.
All right. I have no idea what's going on here anymore, especially with Rhoda. I mean, everybody's super pumped and excited. Maybe it's because he's throwing his hands up in the air.
Yeah. So I think for the people who are saying this looks like the TV show, I think maybe these are the sequences that people may feel about that, because they do feel a little smaller like this. And this is definitely kind of a smaller arena or, you know, fighting area and a little more staged. So I could see where they feel like this is some scenes from the previous seasons of Mandalorian and not much different. But I mean, how do you feel? I mean, I got to ask a question. Do Hutts grow this fast for this to be Rhoda? I mean, is 35 years enough time for, is it 35 years, 40 or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, for a Hutt to get that large. I mean, or I mean, you look at like Grogu and Yoda, and it takes them a lifetime, you know, multiple lifetimes of human years to resemble anything that's not a child.
Well, I mean, if you think about like athletes these days, outside of like maybe football, a lot of athletes are hitting their prime around 18, 19, like soccer, boxing. Once you get into your 20s, and by the time you're 30, you're done. Your career is over. You'd better have already planned, you know, the rest of your life, because you're not going to be able to compete with these young whippersnappers. So from that angle, he's probably, maybe if that is the case, if that really is an issue, then it's probably, you know, he's probably 20-ish, or equivalent to us, which I could say, yeah, he's probably super buff and maybe a good fighter. Maybe he's a phenom when it comes to this gladiatorial type combat. But
And I was thinking just how quickly they age, and I could see where Hutts would probably gain mass pretty quickly because that just seems to be part of their DNA and their the way that they're
True.
built. But yeah, but
he
it's
has
interesting though because Rhoda we don't know anything about. So if
Nope.
it is Rhoda, not getting into the family business, of the cartels and all of that, and striking out on his own, and if he willingly entered the life of a gladiatorial arena, combatant or something like that, a gladiator lifestyle, or was he put into service, or does he own this and he just goes down there for fun? I mean, and he just clearly enjoys the the accolades or the recognition that comes with the territory here.
Fame and glory.
Yeah, fortune and glory.
Fortune and glory all the way. That's a good point. I hadn't considered that. Maybe he's not here on his free will, but he's been locked in for gladiatorial combat. And maybe, I'm just spitballing here. So maybe they've got to get, maybe he's got to be important to the mission, right? To the overall movie or whatever the narrative is, the story is. So maybe they've come to get him and they've got to either help him escape, or Mando has to go fight and win. And if he wins, then he gets to free him. Because later on we see him, what looks to be him fighting in this arena. And I'm thinking, how the heck did that happen? He goes from a spectator with Grogu sitting there eating, Mantel mix. And now he's down here in the trenches fighting this big old, creature. Why would that even happen? So maybe maybe he's trying to liberate Rado because, he needs him for something, or he's part of the mission in some way.
Maybe that's why he needed the Razor Crest, because he needed a bigger ship.
Right. He wasn't going to fit in the N1, that's for sure. They could have just strapped him to the top or something and put some goggles and a mask on him and said, hold on, buddy. Use your 24 pack. All right. Well, here they are. And I think we get one word here from Mando saying impressive. So assuming that's what he's talking about, him fighting there.
Yeah.
Hard to tell. That's cute moment number 675 of this trailer where he's eating his little Mantel mix. That is Mantel, right? Because it looks like the one from...
it's called something different where you're in the galaxy, but that's what we learned
is it?
That's what we learned it as on Ord Mantell. Okay. So are they on Ord Mantell? I mean, it would be clearly being Mantel.
That's true too. I had to think about that. Yeah.
But apparently they do have it in different parts of the galaxy. It's just depending on where you're at. They call it something different.
Okay.
But yes, that's what Omega and Wrecker would enjoy after a successful mission.
Mm. This. All right. Okay, so here's whatever the heck these droids are. They almost look non-Star Warsy, and I hate to say that because who are we to say? But they definitely don't look like previous designs from me, unless you can think of something that looks similar here.
Similar, no, but there are a couple of in Bounty Hunters issue number 42 in the comics. They had, and I think they actually introduced them maybe in the Yoda series, but they actually had the concept of mega droids that Jabba employed. He had one. They were a holdover from the Clone Wars, and they never really got off the ground. The Jedi, demolished these manufacturing facilities before they could really do much, but they were the next evolution. Now, they do not look like these. These look like they're cobbled together, but there's a connection between Hutts because we see the Hutt symbol.
Yep.
Yeah, on the vault door here.
On the back.
So there's at least a precedence, if you want to call it that, or a connection of where they've used kind of uber enhanced droids in the past. And it looks more like the one on the left than the one on the right. Because these look straight out of, like your science fiction stuff, or even
it looks like a Michael Bay Transformer.
Yeah, they kind of look like Transformers, or borderline, maybe not Warhammer, but that kind of aesthetic where you get these really stocky, bulky droids that are humanoid like. And then we got Grogu's got he's got his pulse rifle back. So that's bringing all the toys back. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big member. Yeah, it doesn't even look like it hits. It looks like it just bounces off.
It looks like it ignites in there, but unclear what kind of damage it's actually doing. But it looks like it might do some fair amount of damage.
Yeah. Maybe this is him going in and trying to free Rhoda Hutt.
It's really unclear because again, it looks like a vault rather than.
Yeah, why would you have the Hutt logo on
but it might be his quarters. I mean, it might just they celebrate.
Maybe.
I mean, it depends if he owns this or maybe he's just he's just rewarded with, the comforts of the rock star kind of lifestyle. But whether it's I like the idea of maybe it's a vault. They're trying to get into something. They need to find something, right? There's got to be a MacGuffin somewhere, right? So,
oh yeah,
why not?
It would be
why
Star
not
Wars
here?
without one,
Right?
Yeah, well, this is a cool sequence. I'm glad that's new footage. We hadn't seen any of that before, so that's cool to have seen that. Here's this crazy looking whatever the heck this is.
And that's what's funny is people have seen this for almost 50 years, and we're finally seeing it.
Oh, this is the one from. I just realized what it was. It's the one from the Dejart game.
Yeah, these are Mantelian Savrips.
That's right.
So they seem to be on Ord Mantell is kind of where you start to pull these together. But we didn't see it look quite this violent and this feral, right? The one on the Jark board, this is the one where Chewbacca, like, it picks up the character. It's the one that's doing the picking up. The neck looks a little bit longer, so it's just the camera view here. But
yeah,
we're seeing these beasts kind of in their most feral way. But you're right. Mando's having to get in the arena and fight at least one of them for some reason. So why is he thrown into the mix?
Exactly. Yeah. Again, he went from spectator to gladiator real quick. So there's got to be a reason. Either he's got caught and he's fight his way out, or he's doing it to free Rado, or maybe this is part of it. He's got to work through these guys, and then his next attack or his next enemy or combatant is Rado, and I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
Making stuff up now. All right. This is clearly the AT-AT. So, and this is like, I mean, the way this ends, this trailer ends, it's really great because it's a great action moment. We get to see the AT-AT fall over. But again, if you've seen the D23 stuff, not only did we saw all of that already, but we got to see a lot more than that too. So it's kind of like, cool, but we've already seen that. But for first-time viewers, this is pretty exciting stuff because that is the hatch that you're going to see here in a little bit from the AT-AT that's falling over. And I think we even got into the details of, hey, it feels like he takes down the third one, and then after this, I think he jump to the second one, because there's later on, and not this trailer, but in one of the other trailers, we saw him dispatch one of the other ones as well. Like I can't remember how he took it out, but he takes out a total of like three of these things.
Yeah, it was either 2 or 3. Yeah, it's multiple. Yeah, so clearly this seems like it's the first one, but imagine this is where we had kind of the hallway sequence, if you will, where he's fighting his way through the AT-AT
right,
and escaping it. So again, not a trailer for that. So if you haven't seen that, we won't spoil it. But that's a pretty neat sequence as well. Yeah.
But it's definitely blowing up here, and then he flies out, and you can see him leaving the hatch there, right?
Yeah.
It blows off the side.
But the side was already open, though. It looks like.
That's true. It was.
And
open.
and this is actually a different AT-AT than what's falling over.
That's exactly it. When we were trying to figure out why this was, I think in the full trailer, the trailer that we saw, the first one had its side open and this one did not. Yeah. So I think it takes this one out first, and then it goes and attacks the first one, which is what we're seeing him fly out of.
And roll back just a touch here, you can actually see there's an AT-AT behind this one. Oh, maybe it's just the rocks. I thought I saw you could see something else.
No, not that one.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just the rocks playing tricks with me. But yeah, the side is open. It's exploding. The other one doesn't look like it has any damage. It looks like it's just
falling over.
Falling over.
Yep.
I mean, it's smoking, but
sure.
it looks like a different type of wound than what we have with a massive explosion.
Yep. You can see the hatch right there pop open.
Yeah, the hatch is kind of flapping back and forth
as it goes down. So again, this is a cool. Oh, here we go. So that one's down.
Yeah. So
and you still got 2 up here.
Who knows which one it is? Yeah.
All right.
So maybe they were picking it off from the back, and the other ones weren't aware of it yet. And then he goes and attacks another one.
But again, if this is your first time seeing this is pretty exciting stuff to see. Not only the AT-AT back, right, but then that's a little modified. I think this is more along the lines of the Rebels versions that we saw, with the round, like, turbo kind of laser eyes things on the side.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, but this is still like, wow, like, whoa, how did he take this thing down? Didn't we speculate that this was the one that Grogu took down, or somebody? I don't remember. I got to go back and listen to that show. No, you know what? I don't want to watch that show. But yeah, we get to this. We get the title, the splash screen here for the logo. Forge for IMAX, which is all the crave. It was 10 years ago it was all 3D. This time it's all IMAX, which I've really come. I mean, I've always appreciated IMAX movies, but they've really done I think, a better job in the last 5-10 years with IMAX and really taking it seriously and really taking advantage of the format itself. So I don't know. We'll see how. I don't know who's
I don't know
directing
how
this
much. I wonder how much is actually filmed in IMAX, because usually not the whole thing is filmed in IMAX. Like some
Right, they
piece
just-
of it is. Yeah.
one. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how or why they do that, but I know it's expensive to film for IMAX. But
Yeah, I mean, it's all new equipment and everything else. So,
right, yeah,
and then we get our little stinger here, which is Grogu. I see. I guess it's one of the Azellans there. You've got this rat.
yeah, like a one-eyed rat. Yeah,
You know, the big old eyeball screaming. And then you got Grogu. What is he wearing? You see that?
is that like his? I don't know. He's got like a piece of armor on.
Yeah. It's like, it looks like the symbol though. It looks like the mud, whatever.
Oh,
mud
maybe.
beast.
Yeah, maybe it's his sigil. Maybe he's wearing it now.
Guess so.
Again, and he
It
he
still looked
paintballs
way
him in
too
the
big
face.
for him though at the time when he gave it to him, but
It's still too big for him. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
But this
And
looks like the paintball stuff that he had in season 2 of Mando when he was fighting the kids when, you know,
Right.
Mando said, "Hey, I want you to be trained with the kids or whatever." And he
Right.
cheated and used the force to flip around and do whatever he did. But yeah, he hits this guy with the paintball and then he gets really mad. Another cute kid moment. And then we get the infamous line now, the line that'll be known forever. Good shot, baby.
Hmm.
And this is where I was saying you can see, hold on. Right, where's it at? Right there in the background, you see the other flashlight?
yeah,
That's the other, at least one more Zellans in the sewers with them. So it's not just those two in the sewers. It looks like they all went down in there.
yeah. It kind of seems like they're all a crew for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I love the puppet work here, though. Like as they waddle off right here, like
Yeah.
I mean, it's like two motions back and forth for the Zellan to walk away. Where the hell am I? Hold on, let me go back here. Yeah, you see, it's like
Mhm.
wobble, wobble, wobble. Those are puppets, folks. Those are puppets. All right, well, that's the trailer.
Yeah, May 2026. All right, so there is a synopsis out there. This has been on some of the news publication sites. So probably should have led in with this, but we'll read this out real quick. So this is just kind of what the show is about. And you can kind of tell why there's a little bit of confusion about how does this differ maybe than from the seasons that we had with Mandalorian. So the synopsis is: the evil empire has fallen and imperial warlords remain scattered throughout the galaxy. As the fledgling New Republic works to protect everything the rebellion fought for, they have enlisted the help of legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin and his young apprentice Grogu. So
All right.
that's kind of it in a nutshell, which kind of sounds a little bit like season 3. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, so it's a little different. What's the differentiating factor? I think the one thing I'm really looking for is like, what was the call to action that
Mhm.
got them out of retirement?
Yeah.
Right. So is it that the galaxy's really just going to hell, or there's something brewing? We didn't talk about Thrawn at all. We didn't talk about any of the other threats that are, starting to build in the galaxy. We still don't have any idea where the First Order is in this kind of timeline. Are they largely still underground, or is this more of what we saw with the Shadow Council? So where does this kind of fit within all of these other parts moving around? And I think at the end of the day, where does it start to bring things, together? And we have to
Yes.
kind of remember, like you said at the stop of show, it's been 3 years since season 3, if you can believe that. It's
Mhm.
been a while. So there's got to be a little bit of catch up, I think, there to help bring us along as to what has happened in the meantime and what has brought them back. The hero's journey, right? So what is it that
Right.
brings you back into the fold?
Yeah, no, that's a good call out because I am curious to see if it's more than just money, because either way, this should lead into, it's always about money. and
Wait,
weapons,
Disney
right?
or Mandalorian? Or
Yeah,
Mando?
exactly. Yeah, right. I'm just talking about the Mandalorian, but I guess it could apply to
Right.
Disney. But it at some point we suspect that this is going to play into whatever Dave Filoni's movie is, and then again, I know we've talked about this for so many years now, but it's not our fault. Whatever this bigger story, this Filoniverse story that he's been trying to tell with, Mando and Skeleton Crew and Rangers of the New Republic that was gone, right? He had some vision in his mind that it was gonna culminate to some kind of big space opera of sorts, and this feels like it is going to be that first step. Like if you think about it from Marvel terms, right? This is the beginning of a phase. This is phase 3 of this new, Star Wars cinema line. And this is that first step that's probably going to introduce some things. It could pull some things together, but you feel like all these paths are going to diverge at one point, merge into some bigger story. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of Easter eggs or things they kind of lay down, right? To kind of play into some of that stuff later on. And then how does this impact like the television, right? I don't know. We've talked about television looks kind of bleak right now. We don't really have a lot down the pipeline. And for the movies, it feels like, okay, that's starting to pick up. But this is going to be, again, in a lot of ways, a measuring stick for Disney to kind of have a good sense of, which direction are we going? Are we going heavy on movies now and pulling back on television? Are we going to try to strike a balance? Are we going to let the stories drive all of that narrative instead and say, look, if it makes sense that we want to tell this story, we'll offload it to television. Otherwise, we're going to continue on with movies. All of that, I think, is going to play into it. But this is going to be a key component to kind of seeing, getting a feel for which way they're going to go on all of that.
So what would you need to see for this movie to be successful at the end of the day? Like what general story arc maybe does it need to go, or is it a dollar amount, or like what is it that actually?
Sadly, I mean, yeah.
I actually want to take let's take the financial part out of it.
I know,
right? Because I'm actually very concerned about how this movie is going to perform in the box office.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think Mandalorian is an older property now, believe it or not.
Unfortunately,
and I just don't think it's going to have that same appeal, and the Star Wars interest is kind of all over the place. But I think to make it a good movie, what do you think it has to kind of capture? What does it have to do overall for you to be a successful movie?
Well, for me, probably not a lot. I'll be just quite honest, right?
Well, but you just, the stakes are kind of high though, right? So, I mean,
I get it. No, I do.
It has to do a lot, I think, for it to be successful in some way.
Yes.
Right?
And I think, so I think from the general audience perspective, I think it does have to do a lot, because we talked about this on Unfiltered just recently. It feels like Star Wars it's not a hot topic anymore. And it hasn't been for a number of years, if we're just being honest with ourselves. I mean, we've had pockets and things have flared up, and we've been in the news, sometimes for the wrong reasons, but mostly for the good reasons. And there just hasn't been a big interest in Star Wars. We've seen that in the television numbers. We've seen it in the movies ever since the sequels were over. We can get into all the bad tastes and that sort of thing. But for the last 3, 4, 5 years now, it really Star Wars hasn't felt the same. At least, again, this is my perspective only. I don't feel this way, but I'm saying that I can tell from just talking to people, and general interest is kind of waned. So I think this does have to kind of light that fire again, right? Because if they don't light the fire here, this could bode very badly for any future movies that we get, right? Or it could be they decide to go a completely different direction. Maybe it's a total reboot, and they feel like, hey, we're just not able to do what we thought we could do with this franchise, whether it was our fault or whoever's fault it is, and maybe it's just time to start over. And we've talked about that as a possibility later down the road. So I don't think, if this movie doesn't strike that same level of interest, that same level of excitement, if it doesn't pull people back into the theaters like we expect Star Wars to, I think that's going to be one indicator as to whether or not this is going to be successful. Now, don't put anything against the idea that Disney is going to do a lot of marketing with this, right? If they really truly are banking on this, they've got a lot of runway here to kind of build up that hype. And we've talked about how they can build up hype about anything. All right. They've got, not only do they have the people to do it, they have all the outlets to do it. They have ways to cross promote against all kinds of products, from television to, sports and, I don't know, whatever. They've got all kinds of ways they can drum up excitement and really get people up. But again, if that movie doesn't keep people in, if it doesn't have people coming back for that second weekend, I think that's going to be a good indicator as to whether or not this, was successful. I think for me personally, I do, and this is probably a very like hardcore fan base perspective. I feel like it does need to start giving me some direction as to where Star Wars is going at this point. Like if
absolutely.
I don't come out of this movie and I don't have a good sense of like, okay, I know where the bad is, and I can start seeing on the writing on the walls of where these shows should be going and how all like 20% clear, then I think I'm going to be a little bit constantly floating, right? We're just biding time or treading water, and things aren't progressing the way I want them to. Did I lose you?
I lost you for just a moment, but yeah, we're good.
And I'm back. Not sure what's going on. Where did I lose you at?
No, I caught most of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a fun edit. But yeah, so if it feels like I'm just kind of treading water and things don't feel like they're moving forward in some way, then I think for me personally, that'll feel a little bit disappointing. It's not that I won't enjoy the movie, but I do feel like we should be getting a sense of where this stuff's going to go at this point. now that we're back in the theater arena. So
Yeah.
I could probably keep going on for more reasons, but what about you? What's like going to be a good indicator about whether this is successful either for you or do you think from the general public?
Well, I think you started getting kind of where I'm at too. I think it has to feel big. I mean, I think it has to feel worthy of being on the big screen to differentiate itself from the TV series, right? If you want to take it from TV to big screen, it needs to feel it. And I think that's where some people are a little bit nervous about that with some of the fan reactions so far to the trailer. And some people feel like it's that way, and other people are like, well, no, it kind of feels like more of the TV show. Might be a good thing, might be a drawback in some way, but it has to feel big. I think is kind of number one for me. I think you're absolutely right. It's got to give us some direction about where we're going, right? We have to start setting it up. We have to start getting a little more cohesive with how these other storylines, if that's really the intent, if the intent is really to bring things together, we need to start working on it because we've done a little bit of it, but we've really not done it in a very cohesive way with Ahsoka. Yeah, they've all crossed paths, but it's not been, moving in the same direction or starting to, come to that same focal point, right? And I think those are some of the things that we need to start to see because, again, what is going to get you coming back to the theater, aside from being a really good story and kind of feeling worth your money to go spend it at the theater, but it's going to be what keeps you coming back and getting you excited is that there's something bigger down the road. And I got to be honest with you, it starts to feel like we have to start name dropping like Thrawn, or we have to start name dropping these big threats to the galaxy. I don't think we need Luke Skywalker and stuff like that. I would love Luke Skywalker, but you can't really have him everywhere. It's too hard to have Luke everywhere because then he becomes the center of attention. But he's also the elephant in the room half the time too, of how can we have all these really grand big things going on and Luke not get involved? So I think that might be a longer term problem to have to kind of address, especially since we've reintroduced him. But we've got to have direction on where this is going about how these characters are fitting into the greater threat and the greater narrative now. And we start to really clarify that. Now, Thrawn is still kind of a hidden threat. So he's kind of the phantom menace, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think we have time to get there, but I think we need to start sowing seeds in the other properties that are going to want to converge into kind of one big final Avengers type of thing at the end, right? About what we're going to do. So that's kind of point two. And then I think number three, one thing that I think I need individually from a show like this is I need this to feel, while it needs to set up the broader narrative and kind of direction where we're going, I really want this to feel like a complete story. And I don't feel like this is just like with New Jedi Order, I've talked about this a number of times over the years, but New Jedi Order had a number of really great stories and many of them really pushed the story forward. But then you had some that were just true filler. Mm-hmm. And it didn't really serve much purpose. It may have told a story in there, but it just got you to the next book that continued the story or maybe finished it. I don't want this to be that. One of the issues I think I'm seeing with some of the Star Wars content we have is that it doesn't quite resolve enough within the season and D+ to where we're just biding more time until the next season. Mm-hmm. And we may have answered 40% of what we had, or maybe we did 60% or something, but there's just too many loose threads and too loose ends that it doesn't feel satisfying, I think, at the end of the day. And there's got to be a right balance there. You've got to close off enough of the story and do it in a somewhat, final way, while still leaving open those threads of this is fitting into something else. But I've achieved what I needed to do in this movie, and it made sense, and I kind of closed out a significant part of that. That's a really delicate line, and that's a line that moves for everybody about how much they want or need, because we love cliffhangers too. Cliffhangers are amazing, and we have other ways of kind of stirring that interest. But I would love to see kind of a complete story, for a movie, rather than knowing while I like the Mission Impossible movies and stuff, like when you look at Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning, or even any of the other movies that have split it, like Harry Potter split the last one over 2 movies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. How satisfying are they until you get that last one? And maybe it spurs that excitement to bring you back, but there's also a piece of you, it's like, holy crap, I got to wait. It was like this with Lord of the Rings too, right?
Oh yeah, for Lord of the Rings, that was brutal, but yeah.
Yeah, and there's a part of you that's like, if you're an executive or something, maybe you think, wow, yeah, we really hooked him. We got it. I think where we're at with our fandom and our franchise, that's a really tough sell right now. And so I think they need to be
risky too. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I think they just need to be cautious about that. And finish something up for once. Like, give us that closure. Like the feedback on Acolyte was, okay, yeah, they didn't hit all the right notes, but there were things that we wanted to see wrap up and conclude, and they didn't do enough of that. Learn from the feedback you've had in the past, and try to find new ways to, to give us that closure, give us that at least some sense of completeness, right? And building on trust, because we know we're going to get more here, right? I think on these, we know there's other stories coming that will finish these up. So there's a level of confidence that we probably have in this and Ahsoka and Thrawn and where that's headed that we probably haven't been able to enjoy in other test material, like an Acolyte or even like a Skeleton Crew, right? Although Skeleton Crew probably did a better job of closing things off than most other shows have.
That's true.
So
That's true.
yeah, and I think that's probably fair, right? But yeah, so I think those are some of the things I would need to see, not only for the success of this movie, but also to help us set the other shows up for success a little bit later on as well.
Yeah. You said at the very beginning you wanted to do something. I already forgot what it was, and I was like,
oh yeah. So when we did Unfiltered one time, we did like a hype meter. It was like a 5-point or a 5-tier scale. One, like the lowest setting was 1. It was things are on fire for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
Level 2 was it needs direction or it's at risk. 3 was it's decent or solid, if a bit uninspiring. 4 was encouraging, we're moving in the right direction. And then level 5 was you're super excited. And then, oddly enough, I used this is the way. So in that, if I recall, I think we both kind of settled in the 3 range.
Yep.
But there were concerns of this could be lower or there's opportunity to be higher, but we kind of medianed it out a little bit in a 3. Where do you sit after this trailer? Has that moved you off that mark, or are you kind of right in the same spot?
Yeah. Did it move the needle, right, as they say? No, probably not. And again, a lot of that is just because of what I've seen was of the new footage, cool, but I have no context because it gave us no dialogue, right? So that's fun. It certainly is promising. But yeah, I have all the same questions, all the same questions, all the same concerns that we've just talked about, right, on the success of this movie and the characters and all that. So I think for me, it's probably a solid 3. Maybe it budged the bar just a tiny bit, but I'm still sitting at a 3. That's not to say that it doesn't have the potential to be a 5, to go all the way, be the way, right? Or this is the way kind of thing. But I think that will get, we'll start kind of feeling, whether or not it gets there as time progresses and we know more about the story and we get actual full like 2-minute trailers with dialogue and by that final 30 days, right, when we get down to the media junkets and all that stuff, I think we're gonna have a pretty good sense of, it'll be firmed up a lot more in that time. So still a long way to go. I suspect that we would probably still going to get something here. I mean, this felt like a teaser and not necessarily a trailer. It's 6 months out. What did we say? This is in May. So maybe around December, we might get an actual like 2-minute trailer. I don't know what you can throw wherever you want it. Maybe Super Bowl. I don't know.
I think Super Bowl at the earliest.
At the earliest.
Usually they don't start doing these things until 6 to 8 weeks, I think, is when we start getting the really big stuff. It's been so long since we've had a movie. I don't know how they would do this for Star Wars, but
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I think, probably Super Bowl at the earliest, because that would still be 3 months. Because again, what are you going to release it with? I guess you don't have to release it with anything these days. We just assume it's the big game. Can't say Super Bowl for whatever reason, that's what it's called. But, so maybe beginning part of the year, February.
Yeah, that's what So we got something else coming here not too long from now.
Yeah. I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm still at a 3. I think it's still decent, solid. I think if a bit uninspiring is probably kind of where I keep going back to. If there was nothing really there to get me excited, I kind of watched it and my response was generally kind of flat, right? A couple notes here and there were kind of cool. Zeb, Razor Crest, a couple things like that, which are like, okay, this is great to see on screen again. But like, I'm with you. I need story. I mean, I'm like desperate for a really good story in Star Wars and for, seeing things through. And so I need a little bit more to not convince me necessarily, but to just stoke the flame a little bit and say, hey, there's something really cool here that you're going to want to go see, get excited, get amped up for it, go get your friends excited about it. Like I need something that's going to stoke that fire for me, and the trailer, again, probably not holistically trying to do that, but I think they were trying to do that. And I don't know how successful it's going to be at a larger scale, although we're certainly seeing in social media, there are some people who are super amped up about it. So clearly it has hit the mark with many. Is it hitting the mark with enough? to gain and, you know, garner that interest and do it longer term. A lot of folks like us are kind of, if they were to, when we get them like in their more quieter moments, they're probably like, yeah, I want to see more. I need more to figure it out, but it's, you know, it's okay so far. Nothing egregiously wrong, I think is great. But is it a safe trailer? Yeah, it kind of feels like a safe trailer right now.
Yeah, it does. And the term cautiously optimistic is thrown around a lot. I wouldn't even say I'm there. I'm optimistic about the movie. I'm not even cautiously optimistic. I think there are obviously ways this thing could go wrong for all the reasons we've already talked about. And again, everything that's riding on this movie, but I'm certainly optimistic about it. I'm certainly excited for it. The needle hasn't really moved yet for me. And we probably will not do that until we get to, you know, the first official trailer, like 2-minute trailer, again, with dialogue and some background interviews and stuff like that. All that really starts to play into it, and it becomes very formative in terms of, you know, what we're going to be looking for when the movie comes out.
Yeah, you brought this up at the start of the show too. By the time this movie comes out, there's a very real possibility that we will be starved for Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm. And because we're going into a very long dry spell here. Yeah,
we'll have Visions coming up here in October, and then maybe have a little sprinkling of stuff, you know, throughout the year. But if you're not into the books and stuff, then it looks like a pretty dry period, and that can work in your favor because people might be starved and I need something. They're kind of jonesing for it, so to speak. Or it could be that they are so desperate for it that if you don't hit their expectations right on the head, yeah, you have an issue on your hands too about whether you've really kind of lost some fans. So
yeah, trying to earn it back.
It's a tough period right now. You know, a lot of, like you said a few times now, you're really a lot riding on this, and without any other content to kind of supplement and support it a little bit, you know, it just kind of accentuates it. But, you know, this is where we've been our whole lives too. It feels weird now with D+ has muddied everything up. And then hell, all we used to have was just movies, right? And,
right, yeah. Exactly.
And when the prequels came out, we're like, holy, you know what? We got Attack of the Clones, and I don't know how to feel about this movie because it's like, if objectively it's a complete dumpster fire, but, you know, but there's moments in it that are badass. And it's Star Wars, and I'm getting the story of Anakin going to Vader. But it's an absolute mess, you know. Yeah. I want to love it so bad, and there's moments you can try, but it's, you know, and then you're like, well, I got I got the next one coming out. Episode 3 is going to fix it, you know. This is the world we used to live in, and now we're a little bit spoiled in that way, which is not a bad thing. But, you know, the D+ era, but you bring up a lot of great points, though, too, is what is the future of the D+ live action era? You know, is this the thing of the past? I mean, Marvel's got the same questions, too. What are they doing in this space? And, you know, it's unclear what their strategy is here too, because they kind of keep dabbling in it a little bit, you know, with what has been Netflix type of shows, you know. So is there still a space for Star Wars to operate there? I think the answer is probably yeah. But what content and where? Is it more skeleton crew type of content and less Mandalorian, less Ahsoka, you know, things like that? And those start to just, hey, we're just going to take a chance and roll this out to the movie. We're spending the same amount of money anyway, so we might as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and on top of all that, as of this episode, December 23rd, 2025, Disney has just announced that they are raising their subscription prices on Disney Plus to, was it $18.99 now or something like that a month?
Yeah, it's a few dollars increase on each of their. It's across like Hulu and all of that too. They did this last October as well, which again, the timing with some of the things going on with Disney right now, or, I mean, you gotta read the room a little bit of understanding if this is kind of what you want to do. But all of these price hikes were probably very well in the.
Oh yeah, they were planned out already. It's not a response to anything recent, but still, it's like, man, now I think about, well, I had my first 6 months free, I think, or something. I can't remember. I got it through Verizon, 6 months free or something, and then, but it was like $4.99 when we went in.
That was $5 a month.
$5 a month. Those are the good old days.
And what's crazy with this is a little bit off topic, you know, but it may be more Patreon oriented, but with the ESPN Unlimited app that's come out now, and they've had new bundles there, and you can lock in your price for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those bundles look a little bit more attractive. I think we don't get, and we're not getting any kind of endorsement for this. It's just us sharing information. But like Hulu, ESPN Unlimited, and Disney Plus, I think that the premium package level, like, so it's limited ads or no ads or something like that, is like $38.99 or something like that for a year locked in, and then it goes up to like $45. And I don't think those tiers are changing price, but things like that become a little bit more attractive, especially if you're looking for sports packages. And the streaming game in general, with streaming services and everything else, has gotten very expensive and very difficult to figure out where do you want to watch your stuff. And that's the only reason why I subscribe to anything. It's only during football season, you know, and the rest of the time I just kind of, just I don't need TV for the most part. I got what we need, and I'm kind of good. Or I subscribe to things as they come up, like when Ted Lasso comes on Apple Plus.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan.
Yeah. Well, if you do sign up for a year, please use keyword Cantina at checkout so that we can. No, I'm kidding.
Stop it. We don't.
I'm just joking. We don't have it. There's no such thing.
No, Disney.
All right. Let's wrap this up. Hey, how about some shout outs to those of us, those folks that joined us in the live stream recording tonight?
Yeah, again, if you're listening to the show, thanks so much for the download. Appreciate all your support. Everything you guys do for us, just showing up and giving us comments means the world to us. CantinaCast.com/YouTube. If you'd like to come out and join us in the live stream, like Music Trained Alex, my Star Wars guy, One Up versus CPU, and Steph coming in there at the end. If I missed anybody, not intentional, my sincerest apologies. But we appreciate you coming out. We see you folks out there in the background. We hope you'll say hello and give us a little wave next time you come out as well. If we would love if you liked the video and leave a comment. Like, what did you think of the trailer? What are your standout moments? What do you think? What's riding on Mando and Grogu for you individually? We'd love to see some of your comments. So please do leave us a comment on the video. We'd love to read those.
Yep. And as mentioned at the top of the show, we've got the Pieces of the Past coming. That's the breakdown for part 2 of Rebuild the Galaxy. I've not watched it yet, but that was because I was going to watch it yesterday, and then the trailer came out, and we said, we're going to do the trailer. So I'm excited to watch it, though, and I've seen a lot of great interviews, so that'll be a fun show just to kind of get behind the scenes and break that down and talk about all the great stuff that you get with that series, because part 1 was actually really good. So we got that coming up, and anything else, Jonesy, before we get out of here?
I think that's it. May the Force be with y'all.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you guys here on the next video.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.